Good morning, everybody. It's Thursday morning. I'm on my way down to my BNI Breakfast Networking International meet. So it's dark, so I've got the light on in the car. And for all of you that are watching things, she's driving, she's doing a Facebook Live, she's driving. I'm not actually driving, Stuart is. We're going down together today because I'm doing a presentation on Smart Property UK. But I thought I would do a Facebook Live. Some things have been bumping up in my thought processes in the last week or two about judgments and being judgmental. And I can see there's nobody watching, and there very rarely is at this time in the morning. So please, anybody that comes on to this Facebook Live later, please pass your comments and ask me any questions you want to ask below, and I'll come back to you later after the meet. Many years ago, when I was in the partnership of the firm, the learning and development firm, change agency that I worked with and worked for. I had made a statement as I was walking across the office, and one of my colleagues, Janice Stanford, who I hold in high esteem for her intelligence and just way of being and forward thinking back then, and probably still the same now, but she's now in the States, said to me, "God, you are so judgmental, Julie." And I said, "Me? I'm not judgmental. I'm not biased, I'm not judgmental." And she laughed at me and said, "You are joking, aren't you?" So you do one of two things with feedback. You either completely ignore it, or you look at the feedback as it was delivered and say, what did that mean then? What was that all about? So I chose at the time to look at this piece of feedback. Even though I'm not driving, I'm still looking at the road. So if my eyes are going off, it's because I'm checking where we're going. I have to laugh at myself. I'm not a backseat driver, but I'm still checking the roads. So I chose with that piece of feedback to look at my behaviours, look at my thought processes, and look at what I was doing and what I wasn't doing. And to my horror at the time, I discovered that I was extraordinarily judgmental about things, about people, about life, about ways of being, about me, especially about me, as I discovered. And I chose to change what I do. And it's probably part of the reason now where I am, when I'm in any situation, I'm looking for fact, I'm looking for objectivity, I'm looking for the truth in a scenario, in a situation, rather than potentially my judgments that come from somewhere where I don't actually really know where they come from. And of course, if anybody saw my talk on goal setting, you'll understand what I'm talking about we are driven by our unconscious rather than our conscious thought. So I had found myself making judgments on people, about life, about all sorts of everything, from a very deep place within me that I didn't really understand, didn't know at the time what it was about, didn't know how to control it, didn't know anything about anything to do with where I was making these judgments from. But over the years I've learned.
You're supposed to go off there.
No, I'm not supposed to go off there. Stuart asked me if we should have gone off at the turning. No, we shouldn't. So what I want to ask you is, and even knowing what judgments and judgmental being those two things are now about, when I started my new career 7 years ago into the property world, I still found myself, and I only discovered it about 3 years after, so I had a slow start, everybody. The slow start has sort of come to an end, because things still bump up. They always will. I don't think any one of us is completely sorted, completely proper, for want of better phrasing. But when I started my journey 7 years ago in the property world, property industry, property business, lots of judgments come up, especially around me. You can't do it. You're not good enough, you're not worth it, all sorts of things. And when I discover where those come from, it's all part to do with my conditioning, and I'm not having to go at anybody. It's just what happens to us all, about my conditioning, my programming, what I could do, what I couldn't do, my self-belief. And I'm pretty confident. I say pretty confident. I have my moments when I'm not. I can walk into a room and be the life and soul of the party, and you'll know I'm there. And I can walk into a room and disappear into a corner. We all live in this dual functionality of who we are and what we are. And when we're in the business world, creating our own wealth, our own finance, our own health, our own being, our own reality, rather than relying on an employer, we have to be as non-judgmental and as non-judgmental as we possibly can be about ourselves and around others that are around us. I was having a conversation this morning with Stuart, and we were talking about football, people who go to football matches. And when you look at some of the judgments that can be made around that, we were having the conversation around, are they small-minded, unintelligent thugs, or are they intelligent people who have a hobby and that's what they choose to do with their spare time? And depending on how you look at that, leads you to a different place when you're talking to people who like football. Something else has cropped up in my world just recently as well, is around what people do with their papers. So do you keep your papers in a nice neat pile? Do you put them beside the chair because you've not finished reading them? Do you keep them until they go yellow because you've not read them, you've not had time? And it's really interesting, the judgments people make about people that do various things. No, Gravesend East, next one. It's very interesting, the judgments people make from their own world, from their own being, from their own history around other people and what they do with stuff. Stuff being a technical word, everybody. It covers a lot of stuff. So I'm just going to ask you to Gravesend East. I'm just going to ask you to think about, what judgments are you making about you, and what judgments are you making about others that you don't have the facts, you don't have the history, because you don't come from their world. Just going to ask you to think about that for yourself today as a learning opportunity, everybody, because that's what I am, a core learning and development for myself, for others. So I'm just off down to my BNI meet. I'm doing my presentation this morning, so I've got 10 minutes plus 1, so 1 plus 1 equals 11. It doesn't actually, but in the world of property, the more creative you can be, the better off you're going to be in deals and finance, to be honest. So I'm going to do my 10 minutes today down at the BNI Gravesend chapter. Stuart's coming with me, we're going to film it. So if you want to see a Facebook Live this morning somewhere probably about, not sure, 7 o'clock, about Smart Property UK, please log back on. If not, enjoy viewing this at some point. I can see I've got one viewer. I haven't got my glasses on, so I can't see who you are, but good morning. And for all those that are viewing this later, please, if you've got any questions, ask below. And I will see you all very soon. Take care. Have a great Thursday, everybody. Bye for now.